Have you ever wondered how you could pay off all your debt in as little as 5 years? Well, let me tell you, it's possible because today we have a story from Emily who shares how she was able to pay off $85,000 of student loan debt in as little as 4 years. It took drive, sacrifice, a lot of determination, but she did it. And we're gonna hear her story today. But before that, please be share this video with your friends and family so they can also be empowered with this knowledge. Super excited that you're here with us today, Emily. I would like to know, if you can introduce yourself a little bit so I can get to know, a little bit of what you're doing, your title, maybe a little bit of background about yourself.
Yeah, totally. Well, thanks so much for having me. My name's Emily Orlandini. I am originally from New Jersey. I ended up going to college in Arizona, started working for Pepsi as a sales manager. From there, I ended up wanting to go into the tech space. And so I started working for On Semiconductor. And right now I'm actually working for Zillow Group. And for them, I work as a business advisor. So I help real estate agents grow their business.
That's awesome. So you're from New Jersey and then you went to Arizona. So you went from the cold to the heat and you went back to the cold?
I know. I went back to the cold, but I'll be honest, I'm more of a heat girl. Like I would rather be hot than cold.
Maybe you got to go back to Arizona.
I'm thinking so too, except for the summers there are a little brutal, so that's the only
Yeah.
thing that's holding me back.
Yeah, definitely. I'm from California, so it's not too hot, not too cold, not cold at all, to be honest, compared to New Jersey. But yeah, I love the heat more. And a little bit about you were saying you were at Pepsi, you were a semiconductor, now you're at Zillow. So you have a pretty vast experience. I see that you've been working at different places, so that's awesome to hear. And you mentioned that you went to ASU, so I'm assuming that's Arizona State University, correct?
Yes, Arizona State University. That's where I went. I studied marketing and graduated in 3 years just to try to save more money too.
Oh wow. So you graduated in 3 years, you started marketing. And fun fact, I met Emily because I was going on LinkedIn and I saw randomly a post that she made on there that exploded, that shared her story of how she was able to pay off her student debt, which we'll get to in a second. But that's so ironic. Studied marketing, made a post on LinkedIn, went super viral, and that's how we met.
I know, I love it. And I honestly didn't anticipate it going viral. I thought I would maybe get like 4 likes from like my friends and my fiance. So I was really surprised by it.
Yeah, I saw it. And I thought it was really great to see that post. Very inspiring. And I'll show it right now. That way everyone can see exactly what's the post that I'm talking about on LinkedIn. But it's so great to see that and you be able to share your story. And that's the reason why you're here today. So you can share your story and talk a little bit about, so you said you studied marketing, you went to Arizona State University, and you finished in 3 years. So how much in student loans did you incur during your time at Arizona State University?
So I incurred about $85,000 in debt. It was kind of a mix of a bunch of things. Number one, I was
Mm-hmm.
out of state. And so Arizona State is actually really affordable for in-state students. So if you live in Arizona, it is really affordable. But for me, it was just a lot more expensive. And then I also had extra expenses because of some of the things that I did. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, Arizona State has an honors college, Barrett the Honors College, and it was an extra $700 per semester. And so that was like an extra 5,000 that I incurred just from being in the honors college alone. So it was a lot more expensive just being out of state and doing some of those other things.
So in total, 85,000, 3 years, you're out of state. So that makes sense. I mean, anyone that goes to college out of state is a lot more expensive, which I never understood going to college. Like I thought it would be the same price, but whatever, we don't make those rules. But I wish it would be the same for everyone. We're all in the U.S., right? It's just different states. You're going to different schools,
Totally.
but. But so 85,000, you took on a little bit extra stuff. That's why you said it was a little bit more expensive. How how long did it take you? How did you pay off these student loans? I still, when I saw that post on LinkedIn, I was still shocked. Like, wow, you were able to pay those off. Huge accomplishment, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank
But
you.
what steps did you take? Did you follow a plan? Did you just pay a huge lump sum? Did you win the lottery? Like, how did you do it?
I wish I won the lottery. It took me almost 4 years to pay them off. And so there are kind of a lot of things that go into it. So when I first graduated, I had multiple different loans. A lot of them were government loans. And so my highest loan that I had was actually at a 10% interest rate. And so for me, I thought, I could just pay the minimum and slowly pay them off over time. So I was doing that for like the first year that I was trying to pay off my loans. And then one day, I don't know why, I just looked into it and I realized that my loan was actually increasing. So for those of you who don't know, it's called negative amortization. And yes, it can happen. So your minimum payment doesn't even cover the interest from your loan. So I was like, oh, okay, what am I going to do now? So this was a really big turning point for me was when I actually refinanced. So I refinanced with SoFi and they gave me, I think it was like a 4.6% interest rate, which was obviously a lot lower than the one that I had started out with. And then if you sign up for auto pay as well, then they reduce it by another like 0.5%. So it was really worth it to me to refinance with them. But I will say, don't just use SoFi because I used it. Use whoever gives you the best rate. That's what I would suggest. So that really at least helped me get my payments under control. Before, my minimum monthly payment was around 200 per month. Once I refinanced, it was about 1600. So it was a lot more. Yes, it was. But to
Wow.
me, it was worth it. I kind of sacrificed in every other aspect of my life. So just to let you know, so my minimum payment was 1600, and that was for a 5-year loan. So I was supposed to be able to pay it off in 5 years. At this year, a year had already gone by with the mess with the negative amortization, and so now I'm paying with this new 5-year loan. So I decided I just had to live really frugally, honestly. I would give myself like $100 food budget for the month, which sounds crazy, but I would literally eat rice and beans every day. I'm not kidding. Like that was my life and I was okay with it. I remember one time one of my car parts broke. It was my fuel pump in my car. I was on the freeway in Arizona. It's literally like 120 degrees outside, and it literally my car like stops moving. So I like pull it to the side, and they're like, and got it towed, whatever. They're like, it's your fuel pump. It's going to be $1,000. And again, like I just couldn't afford this at the time, you know. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people struggle with is these unforeseen expenses that come in, like you need new tires or something bad happens and all of a sudden you have a big expense, and that really hurts a lot of people. It was about to hurt me, and then I kind of just tried to be scrappy about it, and so I went on YouTube and I found a video of a guy doing it himself. The part cost $80. And so I'm like, okay, I told my fiance, I was like, let's go, try to fix this. And so it's still the middle of the summer. It's like 100 degrees outside. And so we're like, okay, let's do it at midnight and hopefully it's cooler. It wasn't. It was still 100 degrees outside. So now we're in my car fixing it at midnight. We didn't have any tools except for like a ratchet and a screwdriver. So then we found this big rock in the parking lot of my apartment complex, and we're using the rock as a hammer to fix my fuel pump. So anyway, that's just an example of some of the things that I did to save money since I was spending so much on my payment that increased. And you kind of have to be really scrappy and willing to live like that. And for some people, it's not worth it. Like my friends thought I was crazy. But for me, like it was worth it because I wanted to pay off my loans. So really trying to reduce your own cost of living was really, really huge for me in paying off my loans. Also, I never really went out. A lot of my friends, especially being at ASU, like they would go out every night, always drinking and things like that. And drinking is very expensive. I just didn't go out, and I didn't miss out on anything. I would try to do fun things that didn't cost any money, like hiking, or I'd have my friends come over and watch a movie. So it's definitely not, as exciting as going out at night. But for me, if you just create free options for yourself, you will save so much money because a lot of my friends also, they didn't really have the money to go out either. They would kind of just like make it appear somehow. And so not going out also really helped me in just controlling my expenses too. And kind of on the same note is not spending money that you don't have. I found a lot of times when I was in college and even after college, people would be spending money on like drinks, bags, cars, whatever it is, and then have like this huge car payment that you don't really need. Just go buy a beater for like $2,000 and drive it to work and back. That's like really all you're going right now. And so I think not spending money that you don't have is also really important, and making yourself feel better about it. Like don't feel pressured to keep up with the Joneses and do everything that you see your friends doing, because now I'm debt free and they're not, and not in a bad way, but it's just like you will be happy you made the sacrifices is what I'm trying to say.
That was a lot to uncover. A lot of great tips. Like there's a couple of words that hit me. So refinance number one, which was huge. From 10%, you said 4 point something,
It was like
4.5.
4.2, 4.6, I think.
For those of you who don't know, that's a huge difference in payments and everything. Even though her payment rose up, obviously it's because your original loan was, you would have to pay it off in what, like 20, 30
Yeah.
years, something
Yeah.
like that. So it's
Hmm.
obviously going to go increase a lot more. But it is a lot of money, but I do have friends who have $800, $900 car payments, plus insurance, plus gas. You're talking about almost $1,600. So it's not a crazy number. I definitely, there's a lot of younger people in your early 20s that are spending that alone on food, eating out, going partying, clubbing, all of that, which is not bad, but as long as you're budgeting, you're being smart with your money, you know? So you did that. Sacrifice. That's another word that popped out. Being frugal, being scrappy, like you said. That's a very great, funny story that you shared about fixing your car. I think that was wonderful. That and your fiance supported you in all this too, which is cool because he could easily no, why are you gonna do that? I want to go out. I want to do that. Let's go out, do all that. Let's go get a new car or whatever. So that's good. So I'm pretty sure you guys have the same mindset. Is what I'm seeing. You share the same values in regards to money. That's good. And you said that you're debt free now. You have zero debt. You paid it off in 4 years. You paid off instead of five. You said.
Almost 4 years. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. You graduated early, 3 years. Paid off your debt in 4 years. So like within 4 years of after graduating, you paid it all off. You're debt free. So that what I see there is financial freedom. Now you can you can still live the same, and those $1,600 save them up so you can buy a house in a year, maybe. If you want to buy a house. I don't know if you already bought a house already or not yet.
Not yet, but working on it.
But now that you're debt free, you have the liberty to save up to buy a house, go travel, go do all those fun things that maybe you couldn't do since you were being frugal and all that. You have freedom. You have the freedom to choose. And ultimately here at the nonprofit, that's what we want to encourage all of you guys to be able to, like Emily, like her amazing story that she was able to do all those things. And now that she has freedom. I mean, those years passed by really fast. 4 years passed by really fast. Does it seem like it was like forever? Like it was dragging? Like I'm sure it just went like boom, flew right by.
It really did. And that's the thing too, like those 4 years, 5 years, however long it is, they're going to come and go and they're going to go really fast. And that's why I say, like, just attack it while you can and it's going to be over before you know it.
Yeah, it's over for you. If it's over for her, it could be over for you if you're watching, if you have debt, credit card debt, any other type of debt. It's definitely very, very doable, but it's gonna require sacrifice, is what I'm hearing from your story that you were sharing. It's not easy. I'm sure it's not easy seeing your friends going out all the time, and you had to sacrifice, but you still had fun. You made the best out of it. You went hiking. You had friends over. So there's a lot of stuff you could do for free. You don't have to pay. There's a lot of stuff that even me with my girlfriend that we do a lot of stuff for free. Like we'll go to the beach on a walk or stuff like that. Doesn't really cost anything. Maybe it does right now with the crazy gas costs. It does cost a little bit. Got to think about it. But it's still a lot cheaper than going out and doing all the getting going to a bar and getting an endless round of drinks and 100 200 $300 just on drinks. So definitely it's a lot cheaper than that. But
Yeah.
I would like to know, Emily, do you have you already shared amazing tips or a lot of great advice, but is there any other tips or advice that you would give to someone that is trying to pay off their debt that maybe and another thing I know you mentioned about the emergency. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about maybe about emergency funds and the importance about that and all that, but do you have any other tips or advice that you give someone trying to pay off their debt?
Yeah, I do. I'll answer with this first. So my biggest piece of advice is to do side hustles. That was really the way that I was able to put so much money toward my loans, because even though my monthly payment was 1,600, there a lot of times I was actually paying like 3,000 per month, like 2,000 per month, because of my side hustles. And they don't have to be anything crazy, because I feel like on social media sometimes you can see people who are like, I started my own crypto business or whatever it is, which is like awesome. But if that's not you, like you don't have to do things like that. And so you can literally watch dogs on Rover. That's what I did. I made $1,000 a month watching dogs on Rover. And again, like I would just put that toward my loans. One side hustle that if you're in college, this is literally genius. And actually my fiance did, so I'm stealing it from him. But When the year is over, they do walkthroughs in college, and so they kind of like nickel and dime you for all of these little things like stain on the rug, chip on the wall. And at ASU, I believe it was like $35 to fix a paint chip on the wall. That's what they would charge you. So
Mm.
what he did was he took a paint chip himself, went to a paint store, got it matched, and then he printed out papers at the printing center with like his name, phone number, and how much he charged for it. He charged $5 for a chip in the wall and $10 if it needed to be filled and then painted. Made over $1,000 doing that. Like people were blowing up his phone, and so it sounds so stupid, right? Like you're just
Mm.
fixing paint chips on a wall for $5, but you will make so much money. Another thing I did was resume writing, and so I would literally post on Craigslist. It was when I first started, it was free to post, and now I think they charge $5 to post, which again is totally worth it.
Mhm.
I had never even used Craigslist in my life, but I started posting on Craigslist about my resume writing services. I charged $75 just because I thought, like that would be good to make hourly $75. So it's totally arbitrary, and anyone who's watching this could definitely charge more than what I was because I actually think that's pretty cheap from what I've heard from other people. But I was making like $500 a month just doing resume writing, and they would each take me an hour. And that was just from people responding to me on Craigslist. That wasn't any other outlet. So for people who, do want to leverage social media or other things to do that, you can definitely make money doing that too. And so to me, that's one of the most important things is doing side hustles, because if you just have a job, a lot of times there's no way to increase your pay. Like you're
Mhm.
stuck at what you're making. And so you have to find other ways to increase your pay so you can throw even more money at it. But the really important part is if you do a side hustle, you have to promise yourself you're going to put that money toward your student loans or your debt or whatever it is, because it's so easy to be like, oh, I just got $1,000, like what do I want to buy now? So you really want to make sure that you're using that money to pay down your debt. Otherwise, you're going to be working like crazy and not see anything from it.
Hmm. That's that's amazing. I didn't even. I think I read that in your post on LinkedIn about the side hustles, and that's amazing to hear. You're able to make all that extra money to go towards your student loans. I know it could be very tempting, like you said, to use it for other things. But wow, that's amazing to hear that. And those side hustles, I didn't know about that. That's a really smart side hustle that your fiance did about the chips and the paints and all that. Super super smart, because I would have never thought that. I mean, I never dormed in college, but I do know that they do charge a lot for all those little things from what I heard from my friends.
Yeah.
And the walking the dogs and the resume and all the other stuff you're mentioning, because yes, it's true. You're at a job, it's really hard to increase unless you're like at a commission based job. But if you're just a regular job and they only increase your salary a certain percentage per year,
Yeah.
then side hustles is the way to go. And I'm sure you could continue doing it after you pay off your debt, and then you could use that money towards the fun things, towards saving, investing, whatever you want to do. But I like that you said that it's very attainable, because, like you said, social media sometimes make it seem like it's super, super hard. But no, even something as easy as just, you said walking dogs or taking care of dogs, or
You can do both. For me, I would take care of them. So like people would just drop their dogs off and they'd stay with me. I'm a dog kind of person, so I literally would host up to like 5 dogs a night. To some people, they're like, "Oh my god, that's crazy," but for me, I loved it. But yeah, I would host up to 5 dogs a night, and I would make $1,000 a month from it. And even like something like Turo, like renting out your car
Mm.
when you're not using it, like, and that's another easy way for something that you already have that's sitting there just to start making money for you.
That's funny you mentioned Turo. I didn't even realize about that. I'm gonna look into that because I've heard it. I've seen so many times, so many ads and all that. I'm like, it's true, especially because I work from home, so I don't use my car as much. I like rarely for work, to be honest. So yeah, that's a really good one. And then I'm also kind of a dog person, so I'm sure that was super fun seeing all those 5 dogs playing with each other and everything, and getting paid for it. Like that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I love that. I think those are some great tips, great advice that you shared right there. Did you have anything else that you want to share in regards to the tips or advice? But so far, it's been amazing. I think anyone watching would be definitely prepared to pay off their debt and really inspired through your story.
I think that those are the main things. Once you start doing that, once you start, refinancing, doing the side hustles, and just make sure you put every dollar. That's what I did. I put every dollar that I had toward my loan. So when I paid off my loans in January, I literally had $57 in my bank account. I'm not kidding, because every month, literally all I made, I would put toward my loans. And it did, it was hard because you're always living with like a few dollars in your bank account. But again, like for me, it's all I thought about all the time was like, wow, I graduated when I was 20. I'm 20 years old. I have $85,000 in debt, and it's just hanging over my head. And so for me, it's all I thought about. So I would just say, try to put as much money as you can toward them, even though it's hard, because that's how you're going to pay it off the fastest.
Mm-hmm. And you were 20 years old, 85,000. I mean, I'm sure that was very, you were anxious about that. You were like, oh man, it's a little bit intimidating, it's really gonna push you into like a certain type of job instead of something you really love. You kind of just gonna be chasing the money to try to pay it all off. So that's great that you were able to pay it all off, and now you're able to pile up that cash, save up, and do whatever you want because you have the freedom to choose now. So that's really really awesome to hear. And so out of all this conversation, refinance, which is huge, because imagine you left it at 10%, you would have been literally throwing your money away. So
Yeah.
that's good. You refinance, side hustles, living frugally, sacrificing, and you did it. You made it. You're free. You're financially free. And how old are you now?
Now I am 24.
24. The average 24-year-old probably is not debt free because they have student loan debts, they have card debts, they have all these other crazy debts, credit card debts. So for you to be debt free, pay off your student loan debts. There's people that are in their 40s still paying it off. So that's a huge accomplishment for you. That I really congratulate for you, because that's very inspiring for everyone watching to see that it's possible, and you did it in 4 years. So it's definitely very doable. And thank you again, for sharing your story. It's really inspiring for me as well, and everyone, because my sister, I remember she also paid off her student loan debts in I think a couple years too. And yeah, I know she pretty much almost did similar stuff to you, side hustles, selling stuff on, I think, Etsy or Poshmark, and until she
Yes.
finally paid it off, and then she got married right after. So that was exciting. So yeah, it's definitely doable, and that's really awesome to hear your story. Honestly, very inspiring. I don't know if you have any final remarks, Emily, but I just wanted to say thank you for sharing your story, and it's been very inspiring, and I think it's going to help a lot of people understand that it's doable. It's very possible to pay off your debt. There's a lot of resources out there. You don't have to rely on your only one source of income. You can do the side hustles. You could live frugally. You can sacrifice a bit. I mean, those 4 years of sacrifice are really going to help you for the rest of your life to really map out what you want to do in regards to you planning out your life, you with your fiance, your goals, career goals, whatever you want to do. So really, really good for you. I don't know if you have any final remarks you wanted to share, anything for all of us here.
Well, thank you so much. And I guess the last thing I would say is just, especially if you are first gen, like I'm first gen. And so I didn't think to even like look into my finances for a while when I graduated. I really didn't know anything about this. And so what I would say is at least start with looking into it. I think a lot of people don't even know what their interest rate is. I really didn't know any of that. I really wasn't paying attention. They just told me to pay the $200 a month, and I was like, okay, awesome. So I would say just do step one and look at what your finances are, and what you're estimated to pay each month, and how long it's going to take you, what your interest rate is, and things like that, and start from there. That way you have a good idea of where you're at and where you're going, and then you can kind of create a better game plan from there.
That's awesome. And I love that you said, first generation, same here. And I know a lot of people watching are saying probably can relate to that. And probably your parents, didn't go to college. They don't know. I know we were talking about this earlier, but like they probably are supporting you 100%, but blindly because they don't understand, the things about, interest rate. Oh, what's the difference between 5 to 10%? Oh, what's unsubsidized, subsidized loans? Oh, private government loans. So your parents are probably going to love and support you the best they can, but if you're first gen, you're kind of on your own at times. It feels like, right? It feels like you're on your own. Maybe you don't have someone to guide you. But the thing is, we bring people like Emily who can share her story, and maybe you can learn something. And you know what? Let me check my interest rate. I didn't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what that was. So thank you for sharing that, and it's really inspiring for any first gen people out there watching, and great story to relate to.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And, if anyone does have questions, you can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to help you in any way, because I know how hard it is. But thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us and accepting the invitation. I know it's going to help a lot of people and everyone that's watching. If you learned something, I'm pretty sure you learned a couple of things. Please share this video with your friends or family, tag them. That way they can also be empowered, because that's our whole goal here at the nonprofit, that we can be able to rise up the next generation of leaders so they can be empowered. through financial capability, through all the workshops that they're doing, through the interviews that we're doing with all these amazing people like Emily and others who are sharing their stories, whether it's talking about their careers, talking about, amazing stories like hers, paying off $85,000 in student debt, which is a huge accomplishment. So thank you, Emily, once again. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Josh.
I don't know about you guys, but I left this interview super inspired by Emily's story, paying off $85,000 of student loan debt in 4 years. It took drive, determination, creativity for all the side hustles, everything that she had to do in order to pay that debt off. And let me tell you, if you have debt, you could pay it off too. Just like Emily's story, it's definitely possible. And that's what we want to hope to accomplish here at the nonprofit, that we can empower you so you can pay off your debt, that you can have financial freedom, because with financial freedom comes choices, the freedom to choose whatever you want. Start a business, go back to school, pay for your college, for your kids, whatever you want. That's the beauty of having the financial freedom. And that's what Emily has now, and that's what we want for all of you guys to have, to break generational poverty and have financial freedom. That's what we do here at the nonprofit Avance Latino. My name is Josh, the program director, and I thank you for watching. Please share this video with your friends and family, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone.